So today what I'm going to do is talk to you guys a little bit about the follow-up process. So if we do schedule somebody for one of those webinars, either they're watching the animated one or Shaq's recorded webinar, or even after the op, you can do this same follow-up process. This is what I do every single time to get my recruits started, get their IBA submitted. And I think right now, currently, our team is at 37 recruits for the month. So this works, right? So it's just going to be a little process. I'm going to overview it. Pretty much you're going to start off. I usually will have them tell me a little bit about them if I don't know too much, because if you are prospecting, you might just meet that person one time at the restaurant or at the retail store. You don't know too much about their background. You may call them, schedule the time, but you don't know everything about them. So you want to kind of find out a little bit about them, what they're doing now, where they live, their family, if they have any, have they been in this area the entire time? So you want to find out a little information about them, then tell your story. So why do I get their information first before I tell my story? So I can cater my personal story to them, right? There may be certain things in your personal story that you can emphasize if you know a little bit about them and what they're looking to do, right? So I think that's very important as far as connecting. Then after I do the personal story, I will find out which path kind of appeals to them the most. Now, the cool thing about if you're using our Level Up CRM is that I already know that prior to meeting with them. But if you guys aren't on that yet, then there's different paths that people can choose, whether they are interested in the financial plan, they want to do part-time or full-time, and then I'll find out that. And then from there, answer any questions they may have, and then go into the licensing process and potentially overcome any objections at that point. So it's not too long. Usually my follow-up process can be very short, 15 minutes if someone's like ready to go. And I am going to say that the Level Up CRM process is accelerating my follow-up process, because I already know everything before I even get on the meeting. Whereas before, now I'm trying to figure out where people are at when I get on these follow-ups. So, and I am doing this on Zoom. If you're meeting with people in person, you can do the same thing as well. So I'm going to have Val be a prospect, and I don't know, where do you want to be working at?
I'll be a personal trainer.
A personal trainer. Okay, cool. Yeah. So I've been prospecting a lot of personal trainers, so she's going to be a personal trainer, and we're just going to kind of go through the process here. So, all right, Val. Well, thank you so much for getting on with me today. Hopefully, you got a lot of good information from watching the webinar with Shaquille. What I usually like to do is just find out a little bit more about you, and then I'll tell you a little bit about me, figure out what your interests are, and then answer questions you may have. Okay.
Sounds good.
All right. Awesome. So, tell me a little bit about yourself.
So I'm from Vietnam. I moved here 8 years ago. Right now, I'm currently a personal trainer. I've been doing this for about 7 years now.
Nice.
Yeah, my family's from this area, so
Okay. Cool. All right. Awesome. So you said 7 years, and you're enjoying it.
yeah.
Okay. Cool. And you've been in this area as well. Did you do any other things outside of personal training, play sports at all in school?
Oh yeah, I did a lot of sports in school.
Okay. Awesome. Would you say that you're a pretty competitive person?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, cool. I love competitive people. That's why I'm looking for personal trainers, you know. So that's a really good transition point for me, because I played sports my entire life. So a little background, I played soccer since I was 9 years old, and I ended up getting a full soccer scholarship to the University of Richmond. So I played there for 4 years. I also got to play internationally in two World Cup qualifying games for my parents' country, Guyana and South America. And so that has always been a major part of my life, and being competitive. So with that, that's really where me working with personal trainers, I think that we have this similar mindset, you know, like being competitive. We always want to be the best we can be, right? You've done a lot of licensing already, so that's kind of similar to our field. So I think that we can connect and do well. So then I'll go into a little bit more about my actual personal story. I'm not going to go through the whole thing today, but at that point, then I'm going to say, okay, great. Well, I know you watched the video. There's usually kind of 3 paths that people can take as far as getting started with us. So number one, somebody says, hey, well, I don't know if I'm necessarily interested in getting licensed with you, but I am interested about learning more about the financial concepts and creating a plan for my own financial freedom. So that's path one. Path two is maybe you just want to learn more about the part-time opportunity, make some additional income with a flexible schedule from home. Or three, you're really excited, jacked up, you want to start part-time, but very quickly you'd like to transition to a full-time career and build a six-figure income. So Val, for you, which one do you think makes more sense?
I think number 3.
Number 3, okay, awesome, perfect. So with that, do you have any questions for me, or are you just ready to learn the next steps to get started?
Yeah, I was wondering if this is commission based.
Okay, so a little bit about the compensation.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So what I'll do is I'll answer a couple questions about that. Any other major questions?
How do we find out?
Clients. Okay, perfect. So what I'll do is kind of go over those questions for you. So in my presentation, I have some pre-prepared slides that I'll go over with them as well. So the way that our compensation works, they kind of discussed a little bit in the webinar with you guys. So I'm going to just kind of recap that. So let's imagine you're a broker, right? And someone's part-time. A typical part-time role with us is a district leader, which means you're on a 50% contract. So we get paid when we're helping a client with a product or service, a percentage, okay? So let's say, for example, here. All right, so let's say, for example, our average client pays $84 a month for their life insurance, right? So we get paid based off of the annual premium. So if you're at a 50% contract and they pay $84 a month, that's about $1,000 in annual premium, right? So 50% of that is what?
That's much
500, right? So that's how much you would get compensated if you help someone yourself, right? But one of the major benefits that Shaquille talked about in the webinar is you can have other licensed agents. So here, if you look at it, let's say, for example, you have 3 representatives and they're all licensed as well. You train them, you got them competent enough to be able to go out and help other families. Let's say it's a Monday night, right? So Monday night, you have an appointment at 6. Let's say John has an appointment at 7. Mary has an appointment at 7:30, and then Peter has an appointment at 8, right? So you guys have 4 appointments set for that night, you and your team. And luckily, all of you guys close business. So in that case, you make $500, and each of your teammates, they make their $250 at their 25% contract. Make sense so far? All right, awesome. So you license and train them. So now the company is going to pay you something called an override, which is just a spread based on your percentages. So what's the difference between 50 and 25%? Perfect. So now the company is going to send you an additional 25%, which is $250. So now you just made $750 passively because you only did 1 appointment plus your $500, and in 1 day you make $1,250. So does that kind of answer your questions a little bit about the compensation?
Yeah.
Awesome. Does that make you a little bit more excited?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so that is compensation. So now your next question was clients. So with the clients, since we are running our own business here, I'm not going to give you a list or leads of people that you can just call, right? If you worked for another company, they may do that. But here, this is your own business. But I am going to help you develop a client base, right? So let's say you were going to start a restaurant, right? Or another gym, right? And you're going to have the grand opening to that gym. How important is that grand opening?
Super important.
Super important, right? And who would you invite to the grand opening?
Everybody.
All right, everybody. Perfect. So you'd invite everybody. So here in our situation, we will invite anybody you know, friends and family, people of influence in the community, not just people that want to go to the gym. Why would you invite everybody?
So that everyone knows about my business.
Exactly. Even though they might not want to go to your gym, they can tell other people about your gym, right? So that's the same concept here. When I'm going to help you build and develop your client base, we do that through field training. Okay, so we're gonna kill two birds with one stone. You need to learn this presentation because this will be new for you, right? And you need to watch me do it. If you watch me do it 10 times, you think you'll learn the words?
Yeah, for sure.
Perfect. So now you watch me do those 10 presentations. Who are you watching me do it with? Some people that you know, right? Friends, family, coworkers. And at that point, if I'm doing a great presentation for you, my goal is to get you 5 to 10 introductions from them, of people that they know, right? So by the time you're done with your training with me, you'll have 50 to 100 people that you can now go see once you're licensed. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Awesome. And this is just how we're going to do it initially. But to be honest, everybody needs financial services. So there's a lot of different ways that you can reach clients, whether it's social media, right? Setting up web seminars with people, just various ways that you can bring in clients because everybody needs what we do. Make sense? Yeah. Awesome. So any other questions? All right, so no questions. So with that, what I'm going to go into then is just a little bit about the licensing process. So like they said, you will need to get licensed.
There were questions. Was that for her or for just for that?
Oh, no,
For
that
everyone.
one. Oh, no, I was actually.
Oh,
Sorry,
okay.
No. All right, so with that, with the licensing, there's usually, it's a 4-step process. It's super easy and straightforward. There's going to be the state requirements first, right? So like Shaquille mentioned, there's going to be a background check and an IBA application, which stands for Independent Business Application. So with that, instead of you paying $1,500, the company's going to pay a majority of that, and then $124 is left over. Okay. Now, what is that $124 taken care of? 2 things. $99 goes towards your background check, the paperwork, your study materials, which can take care of all 3 licenses: insurance, investments, and your mortgage license. Right. The other $25 goes towards your software, which is called the Primerica app or POL, Primerica Online. So since we're doing everything online, we want to make sure things are encrypted and protected, so everything has to be submitted through that. It is $25 a month. It's optional. You can cancel it whenever you want, but it's a really good tool for your business. Okay, so that's what the 124 takes care of. Now, if you're able to pass your first test within 90 days, the company can give you a training reimbursement. So typically, it can be anywhere from $250 and above if you complete some parts of your training. Does that make sense? All right. Now, after we get your application submitted, there's a couple other things. We want to get you registered for an orientation. Usually I want to do that within 24 to 48 hours. Then we're going to get your fast start meeting scheduled where you'll meet back with me either in person or on Zoom. We'll go over your schedule, licensing specific to your state, compensation, and then we're going to go over how we can help you build your team and client base, which you kind of already covered today. And then lastly, your training will start. So we do have field training, which again, you're going to watch me do 10 presentations in our qualified market. So with people that are married or kids or couples, and then you're going to show up to train. So the only one time I'm going to ask you to come to the office at this point is on Saturday mornings, right? From 9:30 to 11:30, and that's in our Texas Florida office. So do you have any questions about those 4 steps?
No, really.
Okay, perfect. So my last couple questions that I have for you then before we get started is, do you think you would have any issues passing the background check at all?
No, never.
Okay, perfect. And I probably know that because you have a license. Yeah, right. And then as far as taking a test, I mean, it's only about 100 questions, and you just got to get a 70% better. So if we gave you all of the resources, would you have any issues passing the test? No. All right. Perfect. And then as far as showing up to training on Saturdays, is there anything in your schedule that prevents you from being available for that?
I can move some things around.
Okay, yeah, make it a priority. Okay, perfect, perfect. So I guess, would you say with your current schedule and everything you have going on, would you be able to set aside at least 10 hours a week? Yep, that's cool. Perfect. And then on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the highest, how would you rate your excitement to pursue the licenses with us? 10. All right, perfect. So, I mean, what I'd like to do at this point is just see if we can take care of your application, right? Which will just be a couple questions for background check and then submitting the 124. Okay. Awesome.
We're gonna share this, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Any questions?